गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गनर शॉट। गनर शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी गोना टॉक अबाउट the 10-year framework for US-India major defense partnership. It was signed yesterday, and I thought there are a lot of things going in the air. So I thought let me speak about it and clarify a few issues. First and foremost, is it anything special? No, it's not anything special. It is something which is a continuation of the previous one. I'll be mentioning about it later also. This was to be signed in July. This finds mention in the readout of our Prime Minister's visit to, White House in February. Well, by July it should be out, but it didn't happen. You know how it is, tariffs, and all that. The fact that this has been signed now indicates that there is a bit of a thaw in the equation between India and USA. So having said that, let's go over the mechanics of this story and see what this defense framework is all about. And let's understand this so that it's in the right perspective. First and foremost, this is what the tweet which was put out by Pete Hegseth, who's the Department of War, Secretary Department of War. He said, I just met with Rajnath Singh to sign a 10-year US-India defense framework. The advances our defense partnership, a cornerstone for regional stability and deterrence. So three things: defense partnership, regional stability, and deterrence. Deter against whom? China. Right? We are enhancing our coordination, info sharing, and tech cooperation. Our defense ties have never been stronger. So he also spoke of coordination. That's day-to-day, info sharing day-to-day, and tech cooperation. So he's covered quite a bit. Now, what did our defense minister come out? Had a fruitful meeting with my US counterpart in Kuala Lumpur. We signed the 10 years, blah, blah, blah. This will usher in a new era in our already strong defense partnership. It will provide policy direction to the entire spectrum of the Indo-US defense relationship. Important. It will provide direction to the spectrum of Indo-US defense relationship, not Indo-US relationship. That's important. It's a signal of our growing strategic convergence and will herald a new decade of partnership. Defense will remain as a major pillar of our bilateral relations. Our partnership is critical for ensuring a free, open, and rules-based Indo-Pacific region. What has this done? This has set the cat amongst the pigeons. The first pigeon is Pakistan. In Pakistan, I was hearing in the evening couple of guys speaking. They're all cutty. कहता है यार हमने तो सब कुछ दे दिया ट्रंप को, उसको ताली भी बजा दिया, लोग भी भेज रहे हैं हम गाजा में, जो उसने बोलना था बोल दिया, सब कुछ हो गया, पर डिफेंस पार्टनरशिप तो इंडिया के साथ साइन हो गया. ये क्या हो गया? Those who are in government are saying they're not speaking. Those who are outside, anti this thing, ये तो फट गया, ये है, इसने बेच दिया पाकिस्तान को. असीम मुनीर कहता फटी हुई हालत में है. So actually it's very funny, right? So all they did for USA, and USA has really just crapped on them is what they feel. हमने हवाई अड्डा भी दे दिया, ठीक है ना. वो 4 बार हम गए यूएसए और बात भी किया, ये किया वो किया, सब बड़ा धक्का लगा इनको. US, China will be viewing it with a lot of trepidation. They'll be worried, there's no doubt. And this is also a major indication to Russia. So it's not as if, I mean, one tends to forget that whether you like it or not, we have a operative strategic partnership. Okay, that's not run away. वो कहीं नहीं गया. That's there. So this defense framework is an extension of whatever has happened so far. That has to be understood. Let's get to the historical perspective to understand this a bit better. Till the 98 nuclear test, let's be very clear. USA was our adversary. To some extent, I will even say it's our enemy because they kept feeding into Pakistan. But after that, things changed. And this is where I want to make a point. That the entire India US relationship took off around 9/11, and the trajectory was based on defense. Defense is the cornerstone of the Indo US partnership, strategic partnership. At that time, suddenly the US realized that, look, we need India. China is rising, and so is India, and Pakistan is where it is. People in USA were quite clear that a large part of what happened in 9/11 emanated from Pakistan. So then they started this story. It was that time their defense secretary, Strope Talbot, and our defense minister, they got together, and a lot of talking was done by both of them. Right? Very good man he was, our defense minister at that time. It just slips my mind. He was a BJP stalwart, and he was also an army officer once upon a time. Right? So it took off, and everything about this strategic partnership has been built around the defense deals or the defense partnership. That's the platform. One thing which has not gone off-road between India and US is the defense partnership. Even the civil nuclear agreement, 123 agreement, was an extension of the defense partnership. Okay, and then it got enlarged and all. And now, like we're very clear, February to now, even now, the strategic partnership is broken. It's only a relationship. Let's be very clear. It's only a relationship. This is the first instance that you're saying, okay, we'll get back to where it is. So you're getting back to defense, which was your start point. Okay. So that's what I want to put it in context. So India and US have restarted this relationship, or to build it. Will it build back to a partnership? That's a question mark. To get back to where they started from, based on defense. That's the point. Your faith in defense. And I must say one thing, that India and US, the defense mechanisms have worked. Okay. Again, this is something which I've spoken earlier. It's not new. The India-US strategic partnership is based on the defense cooperation. It also includes tech cooperation. It also includes Indo-Pacific and containment of China. But this was overridden by that Russian oil business, right? And Pakistan tilt, G2 with China, which Trump did 2 days back. It was a G2 without anyone behind each other. Right? Yeah, Mr. Jaswant Singh. I remember now. Mr. Jaswant Singh was the defense minister at that point of time. Then Trump's taunts, his equating, hyphenating India, Pakistan, resource hunt, Nobel Prize, all those things we've spoken about. The question which arises is, will after this defense framework, I mean, the defense framework agreement is only the start point. We have to reverse course. How will you reverse course on this? That's the issue. If you have to reverse course back to partnership, it depends on how USA behaves on all these red lines which I put. So I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch of imagination, but it's a start. Well, you might ask, why was this necessity? Is there a necessity to have this equation? In my view, absolutely necessary. And I'll tell you why. As we go along, I'll tell you why. Okay. Right. I mean, again, let me put this in a context so that you understand perfectly what we are talking. This defense framework agreement has been functional for 20 years. It's nothing new. Okay, it was called the defense framework agreement. Like I said, it was supposed to be signed in July. It's signed now. Why? Because we were not happy to sign with it, and they were probably not, clear enough that they also want to sign. It's two ways. Both have views. Okay. The fact that you're prepared to sign on this, we've signed on this, indicates that there's some, reversal. That's the point. Green shoots early. It covers exercises, it covers visits, it covers cooperation under the foundational agreements. Now, those foundational ones are agreements, government to government agreement. They have not been rescinded. And those foundational agreements have got a lot of depth. In fact, the strategic partnership itself has got a lot of depth. It's still operational, maybe under suspension. Right. Arms purchases, co-production and development and all don't come under this. Startups making components and all are part of this. But if you go by what Pete Hegseth says, tech corporation, well, all these issues will come back to the fore on the basis of this 10-year defense framework agreement. All, whether it's co-production, arms purchase, you'll now restart talking on these issues. And you have to talk. You have no choice. Let me put this now. We have no choice on this. Because our money is already on the table. Please understand this. Okay. Now, what are the foundational agreements? These are the foundational agreements. The Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, right? LMOA, signed 2016. What does it do? It gives you logistic support for each other. Refueling, supplies, right? Use each other's military bases. That's still operational. It's an agreement. We have not gone out of it. Communications, compatibility and security arrangement, COMCASA. What does that do? It enables you to communicate with each other. Secure communication. So that means you share common communication protocols. Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, BECA, 2020. This is the last one. Okay. Exchange of geospatial intelligence, including information on maps, charts, and other data. Basically, it enables joint missile and drone firing or drone operations, because these depend on maps. So if you're on one grid, then you can engage targets jointly, or they designate a target and you can fire on it. That can't happen unless your map grids are the same, or the corrections in the coordinates, because You might follow a particular system of mapping, someone else might follow a different method of mapping, and US follows a different thing. So this was very necessary in case you had to do joint engagements. And then GISMOVA, General Security of Military Information Agreement. This is for exchanging classified military information. Important for maritime domain awareness. Very important for maritime awareness. And of course, in case a situation like Yangtze comes up, again you need this. So in case you have to operate with the US anywhere, like we operated with them, they were operating on the other side of the Red Sea, you are operating this side of the Red Sea against Somalis. They pirates, they were operating on the other side against Houthis. You needed that communication. You can't run away from it. So that is why this framework agreement is still required. The good thing is it's on table. Whether it will go back, we'll discuss that without thinking, without prejudice. Okay, this agreement is not due to lack of structures. It is just to give intent, signal intent. Okay, I am now prepared to be friends back with you. आगे देखते हैं. चलो भाई, let's be a little friendly with each other. Right? Now, if this succeeds, you have some momentum in defense, core development, and things like that. You restart. Then things could evolve further. Like you F404, F414 engines on that engine route, and others, then you can expand it into the civil sectors. But mind you, 404 you already paid. You paid money for it already. You need to get it. And you don't get it, you might not get it in time. That's one part of the story. What if you don't get? What if you don't get spare backup? Wouldn't you don't get full literature? For that, you need to have some kind of agreement, some kind of a dialogue going. Not simple. But you need all this. If you have to go back at least somewhere near a strategic partnership today, there has to be some mutual trust, some continuity in policy, and and respect for sovereign strategic choices. That USA should respect what I choose. It's very difficult for us to respect what USA chooses. I mean, they made their choices, like going in bed with Pakistan. I can understand that. The thing that it's good Pakistan and USA engage with each other. But it's bad that Asim Munir goes and has lunch with Trump. Let's be very clear on that. Or Asim Munir goes and to USA and from US soil talks about using nuclear weapons against India. And that's not strategic partnership. And USA does nothing about it. And then Trump goes about saying my favorite field marshal. He can go take that favorite field marshal, put him in his lap and do whatever he wants with him. And fondle him all over. But that doesn't contribute to good relations between India and USA. Right? Trust won't come if the sanctions continue. There's no trust. If there's no trust, this framework partnership is also a waste of time. Like I said earlier, this agreement was ready earlier. There's nothing much in this agreement. There's nothing new in this agreement. But we didn't sign. Maybe now the timing is a little better and there's some positives on the air. People are talking. So fine. Then it is comprehensive. So this business of strategic convergence and all is diplomacy. The thing is, we have signed similar agreements with Japan and Australia already. Australians and Japanese were apprehensive. They were always under the thing that look, India and USA should patch up. Otherwise, they are left on the limb with Quad. What can they do with Quad? वो तो टॉयलेट तक भी नहीं जा सकते. They don't have any capability. Capability to handle China is only with two countries. I've been telling from beginning. No third country in this world has that capability to handle China and China. I mean, no third country has the capability to handle China. It's only India and USA. None of these Western countries, nothing. Zero. Right? Now, of course, one has to see how things go ahead. Because when we start negotiating oil with Russia, the true stories will start coming out. Till then, we really won't know which direction this framework agreement will go. It all depends on how we talk when Mr. Putin comes here. What kind of a thing? Will there be a, some kind of understanding between the three countries? We'll have to see this. It doesn't go out of the hand. And let's be very clear, I keep mentioning it. That's why I wrote it today. Today, what we have with USA is a relationship. It's not a partnership. The partnership went out of the window immediately after Op Sindoor. It's only a relationship. Can you get into back? Now this framework agreement is the start of a positive angle to this relationship. That's it. Nothing more. But having said that, we have bought a lot of equipment from USA. We paid for it. And I must tell you at this point of time, the operative issues concerning the FMCS. You see, all equipment which you buy from USA, you buy on FMCS. Right? Foreign military sales, FMS. Now, what does that FMS do? The FMS is a live operative thing over decades. It keeps getting extended because you need to get spares from there. There is a logistics arrangement between India and that country and USA for spares, sourcing, everything. There are a lot of things riding on it. Okay, all these aircraft, we've got Globemaster, Super Hercules, Apaches, Chinooks, Seahawks. Seahawks you're procuring. Now, they'll come. You need space. You need wherewithal to use them. And for these space, you need to set up bases here, logistics bases. And for that, the Americans have to come. Earlier, we had an arrangement, I must tell you, long back. We had an arrangement by which we could place a demand on spares to US supply system directly. They gave us something called SCIPS. SCIPS, SCIPS. That SCIPS was a code. You use that code and, if you, for example, say, let's take the case of, say, the M777. Maybe the sighting system had gone bad. You needed a new sight. So if you needed a new sight, it wasn't made here, it was made somewhere else. So you put a demand on the American logistics system through SCIPS. Okay. You enter their system, their network, and with that SCIP, it had a code showed and all that. You put a demand and they would come and deliver it here. And that failed. Let me tell you, that failed. We didn't understand it. They couldn't explain it to us. And somewhere around 2008-9, we said, look, we can't handle your system. Your system is yours. It may be good for you, but it is very complicated for us. So then they set up a system for us here. Right? For example, in the weapon locating radar, they set up a system for us in one of our base workshops. So any weapon locating radar within India went off-road, the the space could go from that base workshop direct, and that base workshop would be kept up to date with the level of stocking by USA. And that system, actually, before all this, that was the first thing which we did around 2001 2. And we had a lot of problems with that equipment. Let me tell you this: ANTPQ 37, weapon liquidating radar. But we learned. I mean, yours truly was a guy in charge. I was a brigadier then. I used to, daily bash my head against a lot of things to get that equipment on road. And those equipment was deployed in high altitude. Many of them wouldn't function in high altitude. But give credit to the Americans. They came, helped us out, and they said it's a matter of pride for us. We have to ensure that this equipment functions in high altitude for you. Because if it functions in high altitude for you now, tomorrow it will function in high altitude for us also. And that was a new capability and new characteristics which was built into that system in India. So the connections go deep at the functional level. It's a policy level which has different views. Functionally, we were on good wicket. We've always been on good wicket. A major here and a major there. उनको क्या फर्क पड़ता है ट्रम्प के बारे में? वो तो रोज उसका काम ये है कि उसको that fellow from USA has to give items here and our chap has to take the items and put it on the equipment and keep it running. And their technicians used to come learn how things were made. A lot of good things happened. And I'm sure the Air Force will give you a whole lot of things about that, their experiences. I mean, we must realize that if you don't have that backup, your entire strategic lift capability, you see this Globemaster, Super Hercules, Apache, Chinook, important for your strategic lift. Incidentally, a Chinook lifts a WLR, not W, ultralight howitzer underbelly. It just lifts it up in high altitude also. Underslung, it just takes it and goes. If you can't maintain them, then you're sunk. Your capability goes down. So to that extent, this defense framework, very important. I'm glad it has been signed. Whether we go further on this or not is a different story. The importance of, we could still have operated all this equipment without that framework. Because there's a contract. The FMS is a contract between India and America. But then the response, you can always have a contract with any number of guys, but what's the response? The response one might not have been good. Right? But now with this framework, the response will start being better because everyone will say, yeah, take it, chalo aage badhao kahani, take it forward. Same way with ultralight howitzer, Excalibur, 6 hours. And let me put it now, let me tell you. It is that ultralight howitzer and the Excalibur which we used in one of the camps. Bang on. Why do you want to get rid of that capability, especially when you paid for it? And these things need repair constantly. And repair of these items is not a joke. It has to be done with a lot of know-how. And that know-how we don't have. We don't have that kind of TOT. Even if they give it to us, we can't handle it. Let me be very honest. We shouldn't think that, we are the bloody kings of everything. We have limitations. Then, of course, you're talking of Harpoon, anti-ship missiles, naval guns. Some are in the pipeline, some are already there. We've spent nearly 20 billion on US military equipment. Maritime domain awareness. That's a huge package. They get software. Of course, drones, we are talking to them. Even F-35 is tomorrow's thing. But it is there. It figures somewhere. The talk is on. No, you're not close the topic. And that's something you should never close. You might not take it, but keep everyone in the run. But we have huge friction points despite this deal. We must understand Pakistan is a major problem today for us. There's no doubt. US should understand this. And it's going to be a battleground between USA and China. There's no doubt about it. How USA handles Pakistan is a matter of concern for us. And they might as well allay our fears or problems. Arms sales influence part of the deal. And mainly the Trump agenda. What is his agenda? Is it business, hyphenation, Nobel Prize? What is it? Has he changed course? Has he done a taco? What does he want out of expect out of India now? He should remember that India will not be an ally. Ally is out of question. We are not even a partner today. It's not ally versus partnership, it is not both. So, or as much as he is going to be transactional with us, we've also started being transactional with them. Will that run away? It will not run away. But will this defense framework help get back to some kind of a working relationship with them? A better a cordial working relationship with them? That's what I'm hoping. I'm not hoping for the moon. That won't happen. And how does US handle this strong Pakistan lobby in USA? I mean, it's not a funny thing that every time Trump speaks of Mr. Modi, he talks of those two jokers also, those two beggars. Incidentally, join me in the morning. I'm going to ask this question to all of you. Why does Pakistan beg? It's a beggar nation, no? And I'll prove it. Tomorrow morning, join me at 9 o'clock and I'll prove it to all of you why Pakistan is a beggar nation. And all my sources are Pakistani sources. You'd see how they look upon themselves as a beggars. Why do they beg? And how can you have a beggar as your lobbyist here? And then what about US interests in Iran, Russia, Pakistan, China, which are going to go counter to us with a new chap who's yet to come? He came one day and went off, that ambassador guy. Let's see how he behaves. So there's a lot on the floor which is not yet sorted out. Right? And there's a whole lot of divergences. I just taken out this divergence table I showed earlier. I've again brought it back. What is the status? USA wants an ally. He wants a guy whom he can kick, like he's been kicking NATO, South Korea, and Japan. We are not of that thing, partner. We are not in at this point of time. At best, we might like to be a partner, but that also I'm not sure. Ukraine is their war, yeah. Let them do what they want with it. We are not interested in it. They don't understand it's not our war. If Op Sindoor is not their war, why should Ukraine be my war? They want global balance of power, G2, P2, and all that. We want regional stability, you want regional influence. USA can't come and undercut my influence here like he's doing today with Pakistan. And China. For China, India, I mean, US, China can be peer competitors, G2, EAO, all that. But for it's a major threat. And that threat is going nowhere. Russia could be US adversary. It's not for me. And that accommodation USA has to do. Well, there is one video which I don't know. I mean, I've not been able to get hold of it so easily. Where now people in USA are realizing that look, there's no point in pressurizing India because what about East European nations? They're still taking oil and gas from Russia. What about some other European nations? So they want to say, okay, you stop doing it, only then will they can put pressure on India. And of course, to be fair to Trump, he went and told China, start buying oil from me. If China buys oil from me, means USA. If China starts buying oil from USA, naturally their dependence, their buying from Russia will go down. If everyone stops buying oil from Russia, only then that Russia will come under pressure, not by just India reducing that. Why should we? And where will we get that kind of oil? They have to understand. NATO is part of US system. We are not anywhere near NATO. We can't operate with NATO. There is no agreement with NATO for us to operate, and he expects us to be, part of that system or behave like them. Pakistan, despite all this, is a non-NATO ally of USA officially. That has not been rescinded so far. What about Myanmar? Our fellow wants a humanitarian corridor. Yeah, wo. What about what happened in Bangladesh? Will that get reversed? Will there be a joint action between India, USA, Australia, and Japan, Quad, for rare earths? That's a question. Because if these four countries don't get together, there are no rare earths for anywhere else. Because we still have a lot of samarium. What about Afghanistan? US wants to do re-engagement. We know that it provides that strategic depth. So, are we going to work at cross purposes in Afghanistan? The good thing here is that waiver of 6 months, which has been given for use of, Chabahar port. So, certain good things have happened. We should be positive about this whole affair. The defense framework, Chabahar port. These two are the markers which say there's some reversal in policy. And they're not now insisting on India not buying Russian oil. They know they will not budge, so they're backing off. They're backing off because they also know that they can do nothing. They also know that we have started dealing with Brazil, Japan, and EU and all that. If that happens, where does it leave USA? South China Sea is critical to contain China. USA has left South China Sea and he wants to go into Kazakhstan and then expect us to go there. It's not my baby. See, I put this friction points and divergences between India and USA to the fore because this framework agreement is only the first step to getting to this resolution of these issues. And these issues were there even before our relationship was going down. These problems were there, these strategic divergences and friction points were there even in February. At that time, because our equation was better, we didn't this thing. But now it's back to the same square one. So if it's square one, you have to rebuild. So that's where it is. I just thought I'll put all these across today when it's new and hot. And many people don't understand. They will talk. I don't know what others are talking, but I can't vouch for it. Right? Uh, so, can we trust USA? Not yet. We have to be careful in what we do, and we'll see how things pan out in future, right? With this, I'm closing down for today. I purposely kept it short. I'll take a few questions, but join me tomorrow 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll answer this question: why does Pakistan beg? All of you join. I'm going to post questions to you. I want answers from you. Okay.